Man, that's a whole lot of characters. This has got to be based off no, it's based off a light novel. I am surprised. I just got done with the first two episodes of Seirei Gensouki Spirit Chronicles, a series that is airing in the summer 2021 anime season. And this is my thoughts on the series so far. Spirit Chronicles opens up with a guy named Haruto in Japan, and he is seemingly dealing with the fact that it looks like his childhood girlfriend is essentially with somebody else in high school. It's not very clear, but it's kind of giving little cuts in how he's kind of upset that when he was a child, he made this promise to marry this girl, and because his family had issues, he moved. And then when he came back to high school, it looks like she's with some other guy, and I guess he's assuming that she's got a boyfriend now. And at some point, he's on a bus, and the bus, for some reason, starts veering left and right, and then eventually plows into a train crossing, and they get pummeled by a train, and like I mean, the train looked like it was going about 100 miles an hour, and it just kind of drove literally over the bus. And he wakes up in the body of a guy named Ryo, and Ryo is in a fantasy setting, and it seems like it's insinuating that Ryo was a boy in this world, and at some point this boy had a really bad fever, and the people that show up later suspected that he wasn't going to be alive, but apparently he's still alive. But he's struggling with the fact that there's these memories of this Haruto guy inside of his mind now. He has memories of this other world where this Haruto person existed and died. So similarly to like A Sentence of a Bookworm, it's got a kind of a similar concept there where you have somebody was essentially in modern times Japan and at some point was transported into the body of somebody who seemingly was dying, and their memories merge. But it seems like going forward from this point, even though Ryo does recall memories from Haruto, it seems like we're following Ryo. Like, Ryo really doesn't like the idea that these memories are in his head, and he is living the life as Ryo. He is a boy who essentially, at some point, it seems like he was a part of a family of people with particularly unique hair, and it shows scenes when he's a child kind of questioning his mom, well, why do I have this color hair? And it seems like there's a little bit of aspect of him being different than those around him and maybe racism. But at some point, his mother is killed, and he is dead set on getting revenge, and that's apparently why he's here. So yeah, jumping back to when he first wakens up as Ryo, and Ryo essentially is joined by a kind of a group of thugs. They enter the room, they kind of make fun of him, saying he's stinky, and they throw a bag in the corner. And later on, Ryo, as he's trying to clean himself up, ends up running into a group of mysterious women who are looking for this girl with purple hair. And he's like, I don't know who you're talking about. But when he gets back to his base, or where these guys were at, they're all dead, and an assassin tries to kill him. But thankfully, he had a bag of coins that was given to him by one of the girls, and this saves his life. And this weird spiritual being shows up mid-attack and tells him, basically, you need to tap into your powers. You have powers. And he does. And it makes him it's a magical power that makes him super fast. And then he subconsciously employs the abilities that Haruto had, because Haruto, who basically is now in his body, was training in swordsmanship. And so he uses this as a way of dodging around, attacking the guy, and taking him out. After this, he opens the bag, and obviously the purple hair girl is in it, and it happens to be a princess. And he takes this princess back to where these girls were, gets assumed that he was part of it, and thrown in jail. Being interrogated, the princess eventually wakes up and tells them to let him out. And the king, in thanking him for saving his daughter, ends up, granting him the ability to join a royal school. And so where it gets a little interesting, one of the girls that have met him the first time, she's actually a teacher of this particular school. So he's being taught by this girl that is 12 years old, who apparently skipped schooling and had such good grades. She already graduated high school. But apparently this royal school apparently employs 12-year-olds to teach their children who are of royalty and nobles. I'm not quite sure that flies, but we'll go with it because of anime. So obviously him in the school, it does cause a lot of controversy. Everybody's like, why is this commoner in here? But he is excelling in the school. He does really good in the school. His teacher, when they're teaching swordsmanship, obviously acknowledges the fact that he's really good at swords. And at some point, it kind of jumps forward about 5 years, And now he's talking about how he wants to go and travel. He doesn't want to join the Royal Guard. He wants to travel. And he wants to go specifically to this place that his mother was going to take him eventually. And that's pretty much where we sit right now. Kind of an introduction to him going to this world. The fact that this person that he's kind of possessed is pretty much self-aware, still wants to be himself, but has these memories of this Haruto guy inside of him. The intro kind of implies that several people are going to be kind of brought into this world, which I'm kind of curious how that turns out, because oddly enough, when he was in the bus, one of this really young girl was apparently really observant of him. And it seems to imply that she's going to be this cat girl that follows him around. So I'm not quite sure what he did in that bus that got that girl so interested in him, but we'll see as it goes forward. But yeah, I'm oddly very interested in the series. I think it opened it up really good. I'm already interested in what they're kind of going through. I do actually favor this concept of not just being reincarnated, but actually possessing a body. And the idea that come behind that, this idea that there is these, he's taking over a life that was there. Now, of course, the thing that bugs me, even though I am a fan of isekais and I do watch a lot of isekais, what does technically bug me is the idea that this is one of those stories where I feel like it's going to be a case of why even bother? The aspect of why even have an isekai? You're following the life of this guy. He's living the life that he lives. There's no point to him being isekai'd. Now, granted, you can make an argument that that's how he gains his ability to fight, but do you have to do that? Just have him have some kind of magical knowledge thrown into his head by a goddess or something. It doesn't have to be an isekai. So I don't know if they'll go into something more later on that will make it more worth being an isekai. Like I said, they do technically insinuate that a lot of people are going to be technically done the same way based on the opening. But it does beg the question. It's why? Why does it have to be? But like I said, so far it's opening up pretty good. I mean, it is kind of a very convenient how he's being thrown into the presence of royalty and everything, getting all these things kind of handed to him to progress further and get higher up in standards. But it's still doing good. I think so far some of the combat scenes have actually been really good. They're doing a really good job at TMS Entertainment with this. And I'm technically kind of interested to see where it goes from here. It's got a good cast. The character designs are great. A lot of the girls are cute. It does... I do have a little bit of pause, again, based on the opening of how many characters are in this cast. I really do hope that the fact there's so many characters, it doesn't drive away from individual characters getting enough time in the limelight. And that's kind of where I was joking about the idea of it being possibly based off a gacha game, is that fact that it just looks like they're throwing characters saying, roll in this character, roll in this character, roll in this character, similar to what adaptations of gacha games do. So I do hope that even though there is a very large cast here, that it doesn't feel like it's too cluttered and characters don't get time to shine in some way. I also do appreciate that even though it does kind of open up the idea of here's commoner in a space where there is royalty and nobility, that it does play off the fact that there's obviously a discrimination there against him, but it doesn't sit in it. It doesn't dwell on it too much. And I do definitely respect that. It's obvious that this is going to be an ongoing thing. This is not going to be something they're just going to brush away. They've already kind of insinuated at the very end of the second episode that this knight that blames everything on this boy is super mad that he beat him in a duel, and he's obviously going to be tricked by this other guy to become evil and attack him. But like I said, it's not doing it too heavy-like. It's still kind of presenting it very slowly. The other concern that I do have, and this is kind of parallel along with the huge cast that they have, is that we're dealing with a 12-episode series at this point, and I'm kind of concerned at this point in the story that we're going to run out of time to really get into something. With such a huge cast, so many characters to go through, and such a short period of time, I am afraid that we're going to introduce a lot of stuff and not really do anything with it. But that's just me just basing on my experience in the past with a large cast of characters. It could do something different in that regard, so not completely set in stone at this point. But yeah, like I said, seemingly typical isekai. I'm actually really engaged in it. I'm actually really entertained by it. I think it's doing a good job of presenting the story enough that I am kind of sucked in and I'm actually engaged with it. And that's something to be said. I think there's a lot of isekais out there that really do fail this, and this one is doing a really good job. And I think that's partially to do with the fact that you have like isekai to build a nation, like Slime and Realist Hero. You have isekais to power fantasy, where the main character has a large amount of power and they just obliterate everything. It's a power fantasy, usually have harem involved with it. And then there's the isekai to a miserable state. And I think this one's kind of going into there. And not super heavy like ReZero or Shield Hero, but it's in that area of isekai to a serious state. Like, this is not super fun. Now, there is characters that inject every now and then, like Celia, the teacher, who are cutesy and obviously part of the harem, but it's grounded in the idea of, again, discrimination. It's grounded in the idea of murder. There is death. There is violence in there. And so it's kind of in that area of the isekai realm. So, again, it's got me already. It's got me hooked. I'm curious to see where it goes from here. I think the characters' introductions are great. Rio so far has been a pretty solid character. He's believable. He's not super hyper genki. He's not super gloomy. He's kind of in the middle area there, and he's got a really good kind of believable personality for a commoner, you know, trying to make it somewhere. But yeah, that's my thoughts so far on Spirit Chronicles. If you guys like this video, please leave a like down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of the series if you're going to check it out. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you can. It does help support us. And I thank you all for watching, and y'all take care.